Hello and welcome to this video which I call Transform Your PowerPoint. I'm going to show you three of my favourite PowerPoint features which have changed the way I present, and I'm going to finish with one killer feature. My name's Dave Emery, my company is Virtechs Limited. I'm also a consultant to the Supply Chain Sustainability School, and in both those capacities I rely heavily on PowerPoint in my public speaking. The three features I want to show you today are Smart Art Graphics, which is a way of turning your standard bullet point lists into something far more visually appealing. Then I want to show you Design Ideas. Think of that as Smart Art Graphics on steroids. It's Microsoft using all their technology and artificial intelligence to enable you to produce fantastic looking slides with little effort. Then I want to look at sections. As the name implies, this is a way of breaking a large slide deck down into easily manageable sections of a few slides each, and you can then move those sections around in groups. And sections work particularly well with the final killer feature, which I'll show you towards the end. So I want to look at Smart Art and Design Ideas, both ways to help you eliminate those boring bullet points in your presentations. Of course, to show you these, I need to start with a boring bullet point slide like this one, and I need to go into design mode. So if I select the three bullet points, which are all in one text box, I can go to the Home menu and choose this option to convert this text to something called Smart Art. And this is a series of visual templates, if you like, that will capture the text and turn them into something visually more appealing. Now the Smart Art graphics are grouped into lists or hierarchies or processes. Just for fun, I'm going to turn this one into a basic Venn diagram. So with the text box selected, I choose basic Venn and we end up with a small Venn diagram. We can then edit this by perhaps resizing it. Choose a different colour palette. Whilst we can edit directly into those circles, we can also use this Smart Art text box, which is discoverable under this arrow, to edit the text directly in here, like so, or we can reorder the text and indent it and so on. That's a way of eliminating bullet points and creating visual appeal very, very quickly. But actually there's a better way to do that, and that's called Design Ideas. So I've got exactly the same text box here with the same three lines, and with the Home menu selected here, there's a button called Design Ideas over on the right hand side. Before I click that, I should say that if your text box contains animations, then the number of design ideas Microsoft can offer you seem to be fewer. So I tend to bring in the text boxes with no animations at this stage, and let's see what Microsoft can do to help us. So now Microsoft has not only come up with some visual ideas, but it's actually attempted to analyse what the text says on our slide. So I'm going to choose this particular option. And look what it's achieved. So it's seen from the phrase sales are up that it thinks a logo of a rising graph would be appropriate. Similarly, it's seen from the words profits that a logo around currency would be appropriate. And it understands that if we're talking about our staff, that's a group of people. So it's a really quick way of bringing some fantastic visual appeal to your slides and using artificial intelligence in the background. So I want to go on to sections, which is a great way of organising your slide deck. While we're in design mode, you can see that between each group of slides there's a section heading. The sections can be expanded or collapsed. And we can show this on this side. So the collapsed sections look like this. It shows you how many slides are in each section, and it allows you to drag the sections around to a different part of your presentation. If we expand the sections, you can actually then drag slides between sections. So it's a very useful feature, and in particular it's useful with the final feature I want to show you, which is something called zoom links. So what is a zoom link? If we go to the Insert menu and click Zoom, you'll see that there are three options: a summary zoom, a section zoom, and a slide zoom. Let's begin with a slide zoom. So when I click Slide Zoom, PowerPoint shows me a thumbnail of each of the slides in my deck. I'll click on one at random and insert it. It now inserts the thumbnail onto my slide, and while we're in design mode, it does nothing. If we go to presenter mode, this now becomes a shortcut to that particular slide. So if I click, we go back to design ideas. But what happens if we advance the slide deck now? Well, we need to go through the whole slide deck again before we eventually get back to this slide. That's not what we want. So let's select the zoom link, which activates this Zoom Tools menu. If we click on there, over in the left-hand corner, you'll see an option to return to zoom. So in other words, once we've viewed this slide, it will return to the place we first started from. So to test that, let's click on the Design Ideas shortcut. Let's advance the slide deck, and we return to the zoom link slide, which is what we wanted. So I'm going to throw that away for a moment and show you the second type of zoom, which is a section zoom. Now this time the thumbnails are of the first slide of each of the sections that we created down the left hand side here. So I'm going to choose section 3 as the place where I want this zoom link to take me. So if we once again go into presenter mode, this time when I click the zoom link, not only will it take me to that slide, it will then, as I advance the deck, run through the slides that are in that section, and when it gets to the end of that section, we'll arrive back here. So let's test that. Advance the deck. Gets to the end of the section and comes back. Now you can imagine if you put a number of these shortcuts to different sections in your slide deck, perhaps you could convey a process or a flow through your whole presentation, which would enable your audience to understand where they are on the process and where they are in your presentation. So the final type of zoom link is one that's called summary zoom. And if we click that, you can see that although it shows every slide in the deck, it's automatically highlighted the first slide in each section. So in other words, it's going to put each section header slide down on the current slide, or is it? Well, in fact it won't, because when I click insert, it will create a new slide in a new section at the very start of the deck. So it's automatically creating, if you like, an agenda slide. Let's test that. So there you can see it's created a new section at the start called Summary Section. It's created a new slide number 1, and let's just call that Agenda. So now if we go into presentation mode, each of these shortcuts takes me to a different section in the presentation, and when it's finished that section, it comes right back to our agenda. Let's test that again. Perfect. Now this could be particularly useful if you, like me, are sometimes the lead speaker at an event where you are introducing subsequent speakers. What usually happens is each speaker brings his own slide deck file, which are arranged on the host computer desktop, and at the end of each presentation there's a flurry when one presentation ends. The host is scrabbling around the desktop looking for another file to open. That then needs to be opened and put into presenter mode and so on. I'm sure you've all seen this. Well, now you could bring each speaker's slide deck into a single master slide deck. You could give them their own section and automatically create an agenda slide like this one. And what you would see is a thumbnail of each speaker's first slide, and you can go straight to it with no fumbling. I hope you found this useful. Please leave me a comment below.